Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome aboard to Dreamy Dreamland with Sensei Al Bob. I am your sensei, your griot, Al Bob, and we're here to tell you a story, something that makes you think. Here we are in our morning ramble, and I'm with my sock puppet friend, Sandy. Hey, Sandy, how you doing?
Oh, how you doing, everybody? It's Sandy, and I got opinions, and I'm great. Now, since Bob, he don't believe me anything, but I know, because Q tells me so.
Really? Who's Q?
Q is, don't tell anyone, but it's our fearless leader, Donnie Carrot Head.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't he have an amazing tan? I mean, I really think everything he says and does makes America great again.
Really? How about us?
Us? Who's us?
You know, we the people.
Who are they? It's all, the corporations are only the ones who have rights. They're what the Constitution's about. The oligarchy. We are just the slaves of the corporation. It's always been that way.
It's always been that way.
Yes.
Well, that's enough of Sandy. I gotta have my coffee. Coffee. Oh, there's two of you there. Well, it's a morning ramble, and it's a beautiful day, and I'm, community. What do I call it? When you're separate, you're not separate, distanced. You know, I'm the poster child of staying away from people. Not that I stay away from people, but I'm just out in the middle of nowhere, down in the basement. But it's such a beautiful basement. It's like my face. Half of it's completely dark, like you could be a mushroom, and the other half is totally sunny. And you stay in that sun, get that vitamin D, that vitamin C that's just in the sun, right? I've been out in my deep green, puttering around, cleaning things up, finding stuff, and so it's been fine for me. The fact that, like I said, every time I go out to do a little shopping, I go someplace to make a phone call, which I have to drive 40 miles. Now, my neighbor, he's very generously, lets me use his Wi-Fi, and I can do this, right? So, but make a phone call, no, I got to drive 40 miles, to leave a message, messaging, So really, you want to get a hold of me, it is the dudeawake42@gmail. Now, things have slowed down on my internet a bit. Unless you come aboard on the chat and tell me how you're seeing it on your end, I really have no idea if this is even going out, right? And it's taking a good 8-9 hours longer to go up on my channel than it regularly does. So I don't know if they're slowing down the internet or what they're doing. But there are a lot of folks who have been trying to tell the truth, or at least their perspective of the truth. Because that's all this is. From this, bag of water avatar that we are, this is not us. Our soul, our consciousness is something totally different, And history has been kept away from us So we have no idea really what's going on, where we really came from, And I showed you this, again, I found these two things yesterday in a pile. One was this very interesting book, the sixth and seventh book of Moses. And the guy Moses, he's, not really, we don't know who he is. I mean, we're not really told the real story. I mean, why did he stay in the desert for 40 years when Israel was right over there? I mean, he was walking around it. Why? Because God told him that the Hebrew nation should never have a land-based country. Their essence should be one on the move and to bring the word of Yahweh to everyone, and it didn't matter where they came from or what tribe they were from. The job of the Hebrew, like these folks, this is an Aboriginal tribe that I live with out in the Nookamba of Australia. And I found this book. I forgot I even had it. These are images. Back in the day, I used to work for Xerox. And so they let me have as much, this lady was, here's my Don. Nice little Don. I have to say, Donna Ann, she was amazing. I don't know what other woman would stay out in the middle of nowhere with the Aboriginal tribe. And, didn't even have, we didn't even have camping, We were just existing with these folks. And yet they were the most beautiful, amazing, brilliant. I mean, we were sent out there by the government to do an ethnography on these folks, right? And when we were going there, I mean, they didn't give us a vehicle. Meaning we could have left from Canberra, the capital, and just driven 900 miles and gotten there, right? If they had given us like a Land Rover, so we could, because there were no roads. But we had to take a bus. They gave us a bus ticket, and we went all the way down one side of Australia, down along the bottom, from, Canberra to Sydney to Melbourne to Adelaide to Perth to a whole bunch of little towns along, and then, up to a place called Pine Gap, Whyalla Missile Range, and then up to Broome, and then straight down Ayers Rock, Northern Territory, Christmas Creek in the Nookamba, right? And that trip took us a long time because my wife, she would be taking pictures of everything, and if the bus driver wanted to leave and you weren't there and didn't get on the bus, he would just take your luggage off and drive away. And the next bus wasn't like, a few hours later. The next bus was like 2 weeks later. So we had, that happened to us about 5 different times. But again, first time was, Don, where's Don? And the bus, it should be right back. And then, 15, 20 minutes later, I'm sitting there on our suitcases, and she said, where'd the bus go? Well, you weren't here. He wanted to leave. He took our bags off and left. Oh, what's the next bus? Oh, 2 weeks. What? And after the first time, it happened 5 different times. The universe wanted us to stay there. We met amazing people. We, when we were in Pine Gap, it was full of Operation Paperclip Nazis, right? And they were old guys, and they really, Donna was all these old men just loved Donna. And, when we were in Melbourne, there were these 2 Nazi guys who had a photo shop, they did photographs for people, and they sold, photographic, chemicals and lights and cameras and stuff. And they had a cachet of, Leicas, right? Leica everything, Leica lenses, Leica bodies, Leica, enlargers, and focal match. So anyway, they owned a building in Melbourne, and they had a studio, and they had a store, And they also had a darkroom, which was totally funked out. And so they hired me to rip it out and build them a new one, a really nice one, which I did. And that's when Donna came and helped me, and they like fell in love with Donna. And so they gave her like 4 or 5 Leica bodies and lights lenses, which were really amazing, and a focal mat, right, enlarger, and let me build her a darkroom. So she had her own darkroom, right? And they loved it. And they gave her a key to the place, and she could, get chemicals. She mixed them. She was like the Einstein of the darkroom, and she mixed chemicals like amazing, right? And that's what made, we had a studio in New York called DNA down in L. And that's why, this thing's a little too funky. Oh, too hairy. Make me sneeze. And so our studio was quite interesting because she made me a much better photographer, and that, I'm basically a lazy slug in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm really focused. I can work amazingly hard. I can accomplish and do things that most people can't, and I put my mind to it. But my darkroom skills, like when she came up and saw my loft in Williamsburg the first time, my darkroom was a closet, right? And I had no door. I would just turn the lights out, in the whole place, and that was dark enough. And I'd mix chemicals, not, too carefully, just, it worked. And, but, all the times I was a professional photographer, a journalist, a photojournalist, because that was my gig. But not, I did it seriously for like 6-8 months, right? And then what I did work there got noticed, and a thing called Magnum. They were basically a collective, and they had a thing where they would sell the photos of the collective to newspapers and magazines and stuff like that. And I had a little niche because I would talk to people and then take their photo, and the pictures were really so. No big thing when I was doing it, but when I was hooked up with Donna, we had a real studio. She was driven. She was right, and I had a lot of connections, and and I was, Lucette Mondel and her husband Cartier Bresson, and I took her to meet them, and then we studied again. I did anyway, and she did with them, and we would go to their salon, right? And we would, the salon was 10 to 15 photographers, and we'd sit and talk, and we'd pull out our little boxes of photos, and you had to bring 10, right? And you would shoot maybe 200 pictures that week, and you would bring the 10 best, right? And then people would critique you, and the critique was amazing. I have not been able to find critique like that since, because people who critique just complain today, right, and try to tear you down. But the critique at Lucette Mondel was, they really talked about the photo and what was good about it and what was bad about it, and whether they liked it or didn't like it, right? And this really built up our connections, and just people like Gary Winograd and what's his name, a bunch of people of that generation were part of this, and it was beautiful, right? And all these things. That's why Don and I were together for 8 years, because we kept doing this, really traveling the world, and she was just so. I mean, that picture of her, we're out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, nowhere, and and we're sleeping under twigs and bushes, and she's happier than she ever was. I mean, where's the picture again? That's me. Where is her? There she is. I mean, look at her. I mean, she was happy. She always had, I mean, we were covered in slime and crap and insects, and there were spiders there. If they bit you, you were dead in 3 minutes, and we're 900 miles away from the closest hospital. And that was the head shaman, that woman. And the men were like, you know, did the corroborees, but the shaman, she was like the boss, right? And the guys, I hung out with the guys, and and she hung up with that head lady. And the head lady showed her all kinds of amazing things and opened her consciousness in ways that so she was in bliss for almost a whole year. And people would, when the guys, the white people from Adelaide, from the Home Office, who were, basically paying our bill, came because I was sending them films of corroborees, and we'd do walkabout out in the middle of nowhere, and these guys would find, just go straight to, patch of dirt, kind of move the sand away and pull out a red Samsonite suitcase full of sacred artifacts, which were basically dirt and string and feathers and skins and twigs. And they were tied together, and and it would be, kind of looking like a snake, or kind of looking like a bird, or kind of looking like something. And then they would make a mask. They would, in the corner of the plastic thing, they urinate, and they'd mix the dirt with the urine, and then they would coat their face with it, right? And some were dark dirt, and some were red dirt, and some were bright yellow dirt, and they would make a mask and stick the feathers and stones and things on their face, and then lie in the sand until that mask turned hard. And then they do a ceremony, and that effigy of something would turn into a bird or turn into a fish and be alive, be animated. And I would, they let me take photographs and 16 millimeter film of this whole thing. And then, I had a changing bag, and I go into a darkish place and take the film out of the cameras and put them in these metal cans. And then they had these addressed envelopes that were lined on the inside. And there was a guy who would drop by at least, every 2 weeks, from the station, and see how we were doing. And I would give them the stuff, the film. And Donna never gave any of her film. She kept it all. And the only thing that I had were that I kept were the Polaroids that I took and that they took. Polaroid gave me like 8 cameras and about 100 boxes of film. And I gave everyone in the tribe a Polaroid camera and about, 3 or 4 boxes of film, and showed them how to load the camera. And they went off and took pictures, and they took pictures of, their finger or this or that. And some of them were pretty amazing. And those I would send back, a few of them. Anyway, after, I don't know, 3 months, they showed up in their, Land Rovers and basically, because when we went to Adelaide and we went to the university there, and the guy who was the expert on the Aborigines, they told me, oh, well, we just want you to do, mostly a land survey, they're never going to let you in. You can't do an ethnography with these guys. Well, that was wrong. The first night I was there, the Aborigines, when I was on the flight 007, and we went over, the line between the northern and southern hemisphere, and I was in the john of the airplane, and I pushed the button for the water to swirl down. It was swirling clockwise, and then it slowed down, and then it went counterclockwise. And I watched it in the bowl do that, and it put me in another universe. And I was like, I was like Eden the other day when he told me he was dreaming, went into dream state the other night, and he had this dream about being in a cave and watching nuclear explosions go on around him. And I saw a similar thing. I actually saw the World Trade Center that I had worked on as an apprentice early, in the 70s, and I saw it collapse in that big plume of dust, right? And then I was so affected by that, it basically changed my consciousness, right? I had already been through many, many things, but that was like, sledgehammer to my head, sledgehammer to my consciousness. And then we were only going to visit my friend Neil for 6 months, but we ended up being there 3 years. We could have stayed there, but we got deported. Anyway, that's another story. And we got deported like royalty. we went to Australia on Flight 007 Pan Am, like steerage, and they lost all our luggage, and it was a terrible experience. But it's what kind of, projected us into this amazing experience. So what I'm really seeing this, pandemic is that, these the guys that David Icke talks about, the reptiles, and you could take it either figuratively or literally. And bottom line is they are desperate. They are only doing this because they are desperate, because they had control of everything. Why did they have to show their hand? They're actually showing their hand because they're desperate, because we are no longer in the Piscean age. They no longer can manipulate us. That's what 9/11, that's what all these wars were about. It was all about shock and awe to keep us, to try and push back the consciousness of humanity, right? And keep us, as, serfs, And if you let them, give you the tattoo, don't take the number, the Bible says that. They're going to, go look at Billy Boy, and he did the Event 201, right? He did this about 3 months before this happened. And if you go online, the Bill and Melinda, nonprofit thing, and go look at Event 201, it is exactly the pandemic. Exactly. And, they're forcing everyone to stay home. They don't work. They don't have food. I mean, then, and they keep doing stupid things that, you need to vote. So, they put, in that state, they used to have 185 voting spots, and then they turned it to 5. It's like, really? So, it's like I said, the pandemic is pretty obvious. And so if you, take the shot and get the tattoo and take the number and become a pro, it's a mixture of 1984 and, Hunger Games. So, coffee. Oh, where's my coffee? So nobody's. There are some people there. No, can't read it. There's my other glasses. Okay, what are you guys saying? Zero Vimpany, haven't seen you in a long time. Welcome aboard. Hello, everyone. How's everyone? And Sandra, bliss be with you. Okay, babies. Good to see you. So, this is a great, blessing with you. It just really is. And this is a great opportunity. This, I've been talking for almost a year before this happened about the window of opportunity. And this is it. I've been talking for the last 2 years about developing an alternative aesthetic, right? Well, okay. Let's see. You have to realize you have a function. God would not, love's co-creation would put us here unless we had a reason to be here. Your holy father and mother will that you complete their worldview, not the worldview, the reason why we have a consciousness, and that self shall be their sacred child. We are their sacred child. We're not somebody's, serf. Forever pure. That's what we have to stay. Forever pure in love's co-creation and in love's preserved, extended love, creating its new, forever, aesthetic. That's what this is all about. Yet, what can such a function mean within a world of envy, hatred, and, loathing, especially self-loathing? Therefore, you have to function in a world in its own terms, For who can understand a language far beyond a simple grasp? Forgiveness represents your function. It's not love's creation, for it is the means by which untruth can be undone. This whole pandemic is going to backfire if we step up, get up, stand up for your rights, right? And who would pardon heaven? Yet on earth, you need the means to let illusion go. Gotta let this separate, this illusion of the pandemic. You gotta let it go. Creation merely waits for your return to acknowledge, not to be complete. Why we live in these avatars, these bags of water, it's to learn, right? This is all about learning. It's not about, making a living, paying the bills, going on vacation. Those guys, these guys, they had no money, but they lived a life of beauty, Look how noble and beautiful these guys are. And I didn't sit them down there to do that. That's how they were sitting, Creation cannot even be conceived in this world, It's an illusion. It has no meaning here. Forgiveness is the closest it can come on earth. Forgiveness, we have to be unconditionally forgiving, right? Forgiveness gently looks upon all things unknown in heaven, sees them in despair, and leaves the world a cleaner and unmarked slate on which the word of love's co-creation can be now replaced. Not replaced. That now replace the senseless symbols of the written. That's why I keep saying in my writing, spelling. People go, boy, you can't spell, and I don't know what you're doing with grammar. It's a code, kids. Spelling is a spell, right? And grammar is a ruler. It's a ruler, right? It's ruling, The mind without the body cannot make mistakes, And when, the mind should really be the consciousness. Without the body, can't make mistakes. And without making mistakes, you can't learn anything. You cannot think. That is, let's see. It cannot think that it will die, nor be the prey of merciless attack. Anger becomes impossible. And where there is terror, then there is no longer. What fear could still assail those who have lost the source of all? The core of anguish and the seat of fear is that of the belief in the illusion, right? the belief in the illusion. The mind was what fear could still assail those who have lost the source of all attack, the core of anguish, and the seat of fear. Only forgiveness can relieve the mind of thinking that the body is its home. Only forgiveness can restore the peace that God loves co-creation, intended for her holy children. Only forgiveness can persuade we, the children of love's co-creation, to look again upon this holiness of forgiveness. With anger gone, you will indeed perceive that for Christ's vision, the gift of sight, no sacrifice was asked, and only pain was lifted. Here we are coming to Easter tomorrow, right? We should be thinking about this. This is a pandemic. So tomorrow, starting right now, right? Go outside, breathe that fresh air, let that sun of love's co-creation hit you like it's hitting me now, and let it all go. Who can be born again in Christ but him who has forgiven everyone they see or thinks of or imagines? Who could be set free while they imprison someone else through hate, anger, and fear? We must be sure that we do not escape, and so spend this time in keeping watch on that person of fear, hate, and anguish. The bars that limit become the world which is the jail we live along. And here we are in lockdown. The world is being sent home, and they don't work. They have no money. Corporations are getting trillions. The airlines, the corporations are just hollowing out the piggy bank. But the people, they're being forced to go onto bread lines. So right now, there's food in the supermarket. I go there, and I go there in the lucky times when there's no one there. I don't have to socially distance myself. There's no one there. I go in, I buy some eggs, some yogurt, some bread, oatmeal, some vegetables, and leave. And then I'm out here, and I take 14 days, and by that time I need some more eggs and more of this, more of that. But I have enough canned food to last me a year. So there are a bunch of you there, and I'm seeing your response, and I'm, even though you leave singular words that aesthetic, lovely, bless be with you, I see, your, Griot Sensei Al Bob, sense and feel through the internet your presence, and it expands my heart in love for all of the cadre, all of the chorus, right? And when the trolls, or I don't even know what to call them, because they, when I go and look at them, energetically, they don't exist. I mean, to the point when, are they really human? Are they really, or are they so eaten up by the anger, the fear that they've turned into a machine. And that's what this pandemic wants to do. The real disease isn't the flu, because that's all 19 is. It's a coronavirus, and that's what flu is. It's just a different strain. They call it novel. They haven't seen it before. And yet, if you go up to Chris Hyde, the guy of Quality Thinking or whatever he is, this guy's a computer programmer who spent his whole career making computer programs to model, right? And so he worked for DARPA and the defense, and he modeled nuclear war and chemical war, biological war. And back in January, he was saying, hey, this is a biological weapon. And he showed how it was. And, he put online, go to his go up to my playlist and see his shows. And he's put up on his site the, biological handbook, and what's the pandemic is straight out of the handbook. And so is Billy Boy's, Event 201, straight out of that handbook, right? And it's attacking, what this is, the love that we are. Be merciful today. Be a child of God's love's co-creation. Deserve your mercy. It is love's co-creation who asks that you accept the way to freedom now. Freedom now. Deny the pandemic. Love's co-creation for all those who belong. And that's all our relations. There's no one outside the box, Your function here on earth is only to forgive, that you may accept love's co-creation back as your identity. Love's co-creation as God created you. And you are what God's co-creation is. Forgive now and be that child of love's co-creation. You will see that you are one with God. Forgiveness, unconditional empathy, which are all what God is. And what is God? God is love's co-creation. Aho. Namaste. So, I am going to flip through the old rune book and see what is the rune of the day. Let's see, what is the rune of the day? Communication. You may be concerned over what appears to be a failed communication, lack of clarity, or awareness. Remember that what is happening is timely to the process of you becoming a child of love's co-creation. It will be clogged. This is the moment for cleaning out the clog, These guys are so desperate they're bringing on the pandemic. So let us take this moment to be a great opportunity, right? For those who seek to heal the situation from the past, see, that's what they're doing, right? Take the shot for what was done or left undone. This rune counsels you to open your heart and forgive and to act with a new point of view of love's co-creation. In the ancient runic tradition, Amos, which is communication, stood for the mouth of the river and for the mouth of the source of utterance. In the context of meaningful relationships, this rune supports our ability to connect, to listen, to understand, to see behind the veil. Okay? That's why I love the runes, So, So let's see, 40 minutes. There's 3 of you. I'm going to go get dressed and have breakfast and go out in that beautiful day. I mean, look at that beautiful day. Can you see the beautiful day? It's just outside the door. And it's shining on me. It's illuminating me. Oh. So I want you guys to go out there. And everyone you bump into, look into them with your conscious eye, your heart, and forgive them of everything. Just shine that light, this light of love onto everyone and everything, whether you know them or don't know them, whether they're close to you, their family. If you are in lockdown, tell everyone how much you love them. Now, you've been in lockdown long enough that if no one's sniffling or coughing, they're not sick. You don't have to stay in another room. You don't have to stay. You can give them tell them you love them. Because I love all of you. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't love you, Let's see. We on to you. Nice day. Well, I'm glad you're on to me. Because I'm on you like white on rice with my love for you. So go out there and love everybody else, right? Forgive everyone. Have empathy. Feel what they're feeling. Feel their fear. Feel their anxiety. And try and every day in every way, take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. And remember, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. As it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And in every day and every way we take the peace of the earth in your name. Love's co-creation, we make it stronger. And Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and the hour of death. Amen. And let Father, skies, love, shine into us through the prana that we breathe in, that animates us, right? Connects us through Mother Earth's chi, right? And that circuit is connected from Father Sky through Mother Earth. And bless us indeed, enlarge our territory. May our loving parents of our spiritual nature, of our conscious self, keep us from evil so we will do no harm. Okay, gang. I love you all. Y'all stay well now. So I'm going to come back this afternoon and, do one probably around 2 and then do one in the evening. I got the time. It's cold out there. I mean, that's why I come back and make some soup and have that and then do an afternoon ramble and then go out again because by, 2, it's warmed up as much as it's going to get. Like yesterday, it was about 45. Supposed to snow on Easter. I hear that it's snowing up there in New England, like a blizzard. So you all have a nice day. You all be blessed, Blessed be with you. I like that. And so I'll catch you guys later. Okie dokie. Where's that little cursor? There it is. Boop. Whoops. I put it in the wrong place. That's what happens when you can't see. Put the cursor in the wrong place. Where is the cursor? There it is. There we go. There we go.